Good to see everybody this morning. A few more people sitting here. It's good. Appreciate the visitors. Good to have Emily with us this morning. And don't know when we'll ever see you again, right? No, we will, I'm sure. Zach's sister is visiting this week, so we're glad to have her. Glad to have everyone else too. Thank everybody that's listening. Apparently there's a lot more people listening than what I thought. So thank everybody that's listening. So I just want to thank the Lord for this weekend. This was good. It was good. We went down to Brother Shepherd's meeting for a few days, and I don't know, it was a real blessing. We were encouraged and challenged, got to meet a lot of new people, got to meet a lot of people that we didn't know knew us. But anyways, it's just good to be around people that are like-minded and that love the Lord, and they're pulling in the harness too. It's good to know that. You need to get out every once in a while and go see it. I've heard Dad and Mom talk about it for years, and we just never... There was always something else to do. And I'm just glad we're finally to a point where we can take a little time every once in a while and go do that. It's worth it. Don't wait till you're 50 years old before you do it. It's worth doing. It's worth doing. There's other people out there that love the Lord too. And they need to know that you are pulling too. It is encouraging to them. It ain't just to go there and get your cup full. It's to go and let other people know that they're not alone either. We're all in the same boat. And, it's an encouragement. But anyway, just thank the Lord for letting that happen. Open your Bibles this morning to Psalms chapter 27. Psalms chapter 27. I want to talk for a little bit here this morning about a subject that's my least favorite thing to do. That's not the title to the message this morning, but it's how many of y'all like to wait? I do not. And nobody else does either. It's hardly even an acquired taste. I don't know anybody that just loves to wait and wait and wait and wait and years on end and no. But it is a very big part of life. You spend most of your life waiting for something to happen. The moments that transpire where something is happening in your life are very short, if you think about it. The events of our life happen very quickly. And the waiting takes years. Sometimes years and years and years and years. The old saying about the days being long and the years being short is built upon that principle of waiting. Why does the days seem so long, but then the years just seem to fly by? You remember how long it used to take when you were a kid for Christmas to roll around again? And I've not even took the Christmas lights off of our house this year. What's the point? Christmas is going to be here in just a few days, and then, we'll just plug them back up, right? I mean, but you understand what I'm digging at. You wait. You're going to wait. Anything that's worth doing is worth doing right, but most things that's worth doing take forevermore to come to fruition, and then they take a long time to do. I look at these old houses that I talk about all the time that I love to go look at and consider how much more craftsmanship went into them, and the rudimentary tools that was used, and how much harder it was to build these beautiful homes that 200 years later, they're still being lived in. Still standing, being lived in, still got good bones, and are completely a viable structure. And then I look at what gets built nowadays, and we have everything in the world to speed up the process, and they're not even a third of the quality that they used to be. The materials are even more inferior. But I think about how long it took for them men to build that house. I wonder, some of them, lots of homes took 2 years to build. That was common for a two-story, nice, big home. Took 2 years to build. And now, if you are more than 90 days in framing up a 4,000 square foot home, they're looking for another contractor because you're robbing them somehow. And contractors can't make the money they need to make if it stretches out to 90 days. I mean, it's go. Nobody wants to wait. We live in a microwave society, a microwave culture. Everything needs to be done now. You have an idea that's usually an impulse, and then you want to go out and make it happen. Enter the picture: credit cards, loans, notes, mortgages, debt, all the debt. Well, why do you think that the debt is what it is? Because we must have it now. Because we cannot wait. We will not wait. We refuse to wait. Why? Well, why should I have to wait? I deserve to have it now. I don't deserve having to wait. But life don't work that way. You know, I've talked about it here in the last few weeks about how that there are things that no matter how much you kick and buck against them, life is going to force you into the slot. It's just going to do it. I don't believe it's that way. Well, it doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. It's still going to happen this way. You can go willingly or you can go kicking and screaming, but you're going in that hole one way or the other. And it's just how it is. Waiting is the same thing. Waiting is, well, let me stick to my notes. Let's read our scripture first, and then we'll kind of go from there. David says in Psalms chapter 27, we'll start in verse 13. He said, I had fainted unless I had believed to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. He said, I would not have made it at all if I had not had some kind of confirmation. There you go, Jacob. You said it was coming. Jacob Rickard, he said, I know what you're going to talk about Sunday. I said, you don't know that. We talked a lot about that this weekend, but it was confirmation to David that there was that he could make it. He would have fainted. He said, I would have quit. I would have quit if I hadn't seen the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Well, why would he have fainted? Why would he have almost quit? Because he had to do a lot of waiting. Most of his life. Especially the formidable, productive years. See, here's the thing, and I'm starting to realize this a little bit now. And the devil will get in your head about this. Take note of this. He'll get in your head about this, that your youth is the productive time of your life. And then from about where I'm at on, is just, you don't really have that much left to offer. And I'm going to tell you something, it's not that way. Not at all. Not at all. Your youth is where foolishness is supposed to be eradicated. And then you enter into the productive years of your life where you got some wisdom. You've learned some lessons. How? By foolishness being burned out of your life. How? Having to wait for years and years for things you can't make happen. Hard as you do. Most of our youth is misspent and wasted trying to force things to happen that's not time for them to happen yet. Whether it's familial things, whether it's financial gain, whether it is spiritual growth. I mean, it's exception to the rule when you see a young man that is being used in a mighty, mighty way. I mean, think of all the ones that were pivotal in the Old Testament, especially, that God changed the course of history and humanity with. They were at least 80 years old before they ever hardly even got started. Why? Well, there's a lot of lessons they had to learn. How long did Moses stay on the backside of the desert? 40 years. 40 years of waiting. Well, man, that's almost as long as I've been alive. And there was another 40 before that he'd made a huge mess out of. And there was so many moving parts to what was going on in Moses' life by the time that he turned aside to see this thing, this burning bush. A lot of waiting. A lot of waiting. Then in verse 14, David says this, very familiar verse. We sing it. Wait on the Lord. Be of good courage, and he will strengthen thine heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. So I want to talk about waiting this morning. waiting. Just wait. You say, well, I don't want to. Well, it's too bad. I shouldn't have to. Well, maybe that's so. I can change things. I can make it happen. I ain't got to wait as long as you think I have to. Well, go ahead and try. Will you see any gain or any advancement from kicking open doors? Well, it's kind of like the old saying about taking one step forward and 2 steps back. You're moving, but you really ain't going nowhere but backwards. You know, there's a preacher down there that preached a sermon, first sermon we heard, and it was called A Bag with Holes in It. Whew. I mean, and it was just extremely timely, and it was the first thing I heard when I got there. And it was so good, and it was good. And that's what everybody does. They waste their life trying to fill up a bag full of holes because they refuse to wait on the Lord. You say, well, you know, and trust me, I recognize this what I'm about to say, but there's a lot of people that don't know the Lord enough to even know how to wait on Him or care to. They don't care to wait on the Lord. Why? I got to wait on Him. You know, I mean, I can go out here and I can get a job and I can save my money and I can buy this and I can invest and I can make things change. After all, don't you know, God helps those who help themselves. Does He? That's right. It's not of Him. He's not going to come along and help you do your thing. Sorry. It's either of you or it's of Him. There's only the 2 options. And David said here, wait on the Lord. Wait on the Lord. So, little word study. I love to do this. It just is amazing to me. So I looked up wait. W-A-I-T. Wait. And so I'm just going to go through some of the definitions of that, and we're going to talk about them. This says, number 1, waiting is to be intentionally, you're to approach waiting intentionally, okay? God sends waiting into our lives for a purpose. David said here, wait on the Lord. He didn't just say, sit down, be quiet, don't move, don't talk to nobody, don't try to do anything, and I'll be back around a little while later, and then we'll go do something. Well, that's not sustainable in any of our lives. If there's not intention, your intention, behind why you're waiting and what you're waiting on and who you're waiting on, then you will stop waiting and you'll go do. Every time. Every time. You'll get tired of waiting because the devil, I'm just going to tell you this, reason, your reasoning, and the devil's encouragement will tell you, ain't nobody going to come and help you. Ain't nobody going to do this for you. If you don't go and do this and stop sitting around being lazy about this thing or being just dependent on everybody else, then you're just going to, 10 years from now, you're going to be still sitting in the same spot. You're going to be crying the blues, and it's all going to be your fault. Get up and go do something. Now, there's times when the Lord said, get up and go. Go. You know, but more often than not, He says, wait. Be still and know that I am God. Why do you not know that He's God? Not if you're not waiting on Him. Because if you're up running around, you ever sit and watch ants? You go up and kick their anthill over or something like that, and they just come boiling out of there. And they're just running around in circles. There's 1,000 of them there, and they're all just running nowhere. And I wonder sometimes if the Lord don't look down at us and, shake His head sometimes and just think, man, if y'all would just be still for a minute, I could fix this for you. I would fix it for you, but you won't be still. And you won't just ask me to help you. You're going to try to make it happen for you. And it will 100% of the time always end up in a mess. You think you can do it better than Him? I've wasted a lot of time and resources in my life because I thought I could make it happen. I thought I could do it better. It was like there was options. The gold option was waiting on the Lord. But I mean, I could be okay with, the bronze package. If I could just do it myself and get it now, we can make do. Well, you know what I ended up with? Bumpkus. 0. Empty bag. That's what I ended up with. You got to be intentional about waiting. I mean, you say, well, I have this thing in my life that I want gone. Or I got this thing in my life I want to see happen. And it can be something that's mundane or trivial or even petty, if you asked someone else. Or it could be something as anxiety inducing as, knowing the Lord's return is imminent and watching your children walk away from God and say, what am I going to do? I got to do something. Or else it's going to I'm going to give account. He's going to hold me accountable for not doing anything. And man, so many times, the reason why that nothing has happened with them is because you won't get out of the way and be still and wait on the Lord. Salvation is of the Lord. The Bible says so. And so is conviction of sin. I mean, it convinces men of sin. You don't. He does. So there's got to be intention and purpose behind what you're waiting for, why you're waiting, who you're waiting on. There is expectation behind every season of waiting from you. Think about it. If you have to wait on something, what do you think about? A lot. The thing you're waiting on. You got a wedding coming up. You've thought a lot about that wedding for a lot of years. I know you have. And you've done a lot of waiting. But it's been something you've thought about for years and years and years. And many, many, many questions and doubts and trials through it all. Okay? But, if you wait, the Lord works things out in His time. Now, you could have made it not be so long a season of waiting. You could have. But a lot of times, here's what we do. We go and make a big old mess. And then we come to the end of ourselves and we say, Lord, I know you can make beauty out of ashes. And He can, and He does. Thank God for that. But have you ever thought how much more happy it makes His heart when you don't bring Him a sack full of ashes and say, can you do something with this? You can do that. You can do that. You say, well, I haven't done that. Well, you got the rest of your life to live. You think that was the only thing you was ever going to have to wait on? You think that was the only thing that you're ever going to face as a trial and have to learn patience and endurance and all that? No. No, there's another one just waiting right around the corner for you. And a bunch more after that. And guess what you can do now? You can wait on the Lord. You can do it the right way. You say, well, I have failed. That does not define you. It doesn't. It doesn't have to. You can let it, but it don't have to. If your identity is in Him, then that can be what defines you. My goodness. That's the lie of the devil, that your sin is what makes you who you are. No, mercy, no. The Lord, there is countless thousands upon thousands of people whose lives have been completely redefined and redirected and repurposed for His purpose. And who they were and the awful atrocities that they did are just, well, I'll tell you what they are. They're removed from Him as far as the east is from the west. So why are you still dragging around them things? Yeah. The Lord, here's the thing. There's expectation. You look for, you're waiting, you're anticipating, you are imagining things that will be someday and all this. I mean, the expectation of waiting doesn't have to be the most miserable time of your life. But most of us make it the hardest time of our life. And what makes it hard is because we refuse to let it have its work in us. We refuse the work the Lord's trying to work in us and what He's trying to prune off of our life and what He's trying to purify out of our selfish carnal self, we refuse it. We reject it. We resist it. It's like the old goat you was talking about, Elizabeth's old goat, Jake. And that stupid goat, if you had something to eat, he'd chase you all over the hill. But if you grabbed a hold of his horn and tried to lead him somewhere, you were going to plow the ground with his little old hooves. I mean, he was not going to be led nowhere. And that's where most people are in their seasons of waiting. They just set their feet and I'm not going to. Well, you can do it the easy way or you can do it the hard way. But either way, you're going to do it. The Lord wants us to rest in the expectation of waiting on Him. Now, if it's of you, and it's something you're having to wait on, that you conjured up somehow that's going to make everything better, then you're not going to find any rest in the waiting. Well, what do you mean? Well, people's ambitions and imaginations and their dreams get them in an awful pickle in life. I'm a builder. And so you hear this term thrown around a lot, our dream home, our dream home, our dream home. And people's dream home often ends their life. It ruins their marriages. It ends their homes. It makes them bitter towards their wife and their husband. Their children realize what a joke their reality has been all their life because their mom and dad can't even finish a house. Their dream. And their dream, where did it come from? Them. It gets said an awful lot in our, in the circle of building and everything like that the hardest thing that a marriage can go through is building a new house. And that's fact. I've seen it, just rend homes apart. I've seen it happen. All for this dream that you had, that you came up with, and then you had to figure out a way to make it happen. And let's say you had to, I've seen people literally lose their minds waiting on an appraiser to come because they put them off 2 weeks. It's my dream. I want it now. I'm making it happen. Why didn't you show up when you said you was gonna? Well, what's the problem? I don't want to wait. They're not gonna wait. And you're supposed to rest somehow in that? No, you drive yourself crazy. But if the Lord says, listen, I know the desires of thine heart, okay? And if you'll wait on me, I'll give you. If you'll delight yourself in me, I'll give you those desires, but you're going to have to wait. Will you wait? Will you? He doesn't say you're going to wait, because the door's wide open. You can go do whatever you want to. But he asks you, will you wait? Will you wait on the Lord? And that's your choice. But if you're waiting on him and you surrender to that and you say, yes, I will. You know why? Because I trust you. I know your character. I know you love me. I know that you will give me the best if I'll wait on you. So you know what? I'll wait on you. Guess what you can have? Zero anxiety. You can have rest. Rest. Rest in the expectation of waiting. Okay? Waiting is being still till the arrival of some person or event. That's one of the definitions Mr. Webster gave. It is being still till the arrival of some person or event. It kind of says it for itself. Be still. It's easy to look around. That's what Peter did. He took his eyes off of the Lord when he was walking to him on the water and looked around at all the things that said he couldn't walk on the water. And then guess what? He couldn't walk on the water no more. Down he went. And it's easy to look around at the circumstances of your waiting and panic a little bit. We're all human. We all tend to do it. But he said, just be still. Be still. It means suspending any business in expectation of some person or event or some hour. Now, did you catch that? It says suspending any business in expectation of some person. So he said, I want you to be still and just wait on me. And I also want you to not try to network sideways through someone else that has the means to accomplish what you think I want for you, so that they can help me out to get you what you want. No, he said it's the suspension of any business in expectation of some person or event or some hour, some appointed thing that needs to happen. No. Waiting takes, the only power you have in waiting is to just sit still and wait. I mean, it's kind of one of those things that sucks all the air out of the room, and you just have to be still. That's it. Wait. When Joseph was in the prison, all them years, what did he do? He waited. When the baker and the butler, and he had a little ray of sunshine there, and they were going to go and talk to Pharaoh, and then what happened? Some more years of waiting. Just waiting. It says the iron entered into his soul. And people say, oh, he was bound in irons, and it was just like it's some kind of way, like a fancy, emotional, like some kind of elaborate floral way of saying that the iron just got so, he was just become so depressed in his way. No. That's where he got strong. That's where he learned to wait on the Lord. The iron entered into his soul. Yeah, he got strength from that. You say, well, I don't understand. I know, I don't either. It just happens while you wait. And it comes from God. That's why we can't hardly understand it, because if we understood it, we could make it happen ourselves, and then we wouldn't need to wait on God, now would we? So you wait on the Lord. You wait. Resting in expectation and patience. It means to stay and to not depart. Waiting can't be flighty. It also means this. It means to pay servile or submissive attendance to. You say, well, I'll wait, but I ain't happy about it. I'll wait, but I'm going to find me 10,000 things to do to distract me from the misery of having to wait. To kind of take a synonym of this, like what it's talking about here. Do you like to go to a restaurant and your waitress or your waiter comes up and they're like, what do you want? Or do you like them to say, what can I get you? My name's Seth. I'll be your waiter tonight. What can I get you to drink? And you see them show a genuine interest in your experience. What do they call those? Waiters. Why? Because they are there. It's their job. And jobs ain't always fun. But you know what they're doing? They're providing a service for someone else. Servile and submissive attendance to. To what? To waiting. To waiting. The Lord has a beautiful thing to happen in your soul. It's going to change you as a person. It's going to turn you into a different human being. If you will allow waiting to have its work in you. It means to be ready to serve and to obey. Waiting. All right, well, that's what waiting is. Wait on the Lord. Can you say that you see those characteristics of waiting in your life towards the Lord? Can I see them in my life? Man, well, some, but not nearly at the volume they surely need to be, for sure. Now, moving on, he says, wait on the Lord, be of good courage. He didn't just say, have courage, waiting on the Lord. He said, wait on the Lord, be of good courage. So I looked up courage. I love this, I'm telling you. There's different kinds of courage. You ever thought about that? I hadn't. I just thought courage meant, hey, you're not a coward. It's the opposite of being a coward. You're courageous. You're brave. And there is some synonyms that go along with the word. Bravery, boldness, resolution. But then there's some other ones that carry some heavy clout. There's the kind of courage that works. Here's what you really need to take away from this. There's the kind of courage that works, and then there's the kind of courage that just is for show. That's really the only two kinds of courage there truly is. There's the courage you want people to think you are, and then there's the courage that just stands there in the fire. The courage that is willing to wait with a smile on your face. Is it going to be easy? 100% absolutely no. It's not going to be easy to wait. As a matter of fact, it's going to amplify all of the difficulties and struggles that you have in your normal everyday life. It's going to make them worse, having to wait. But he said, be of good courage in your waiting. Courage is a quality of mind. Did you know that? Because somebody can be great, big, and strong, and they can bench 450 pounds, and they can be an absolute coward when it comes to standing up for any kind of values at all. You know, a lot of big guys run that mouth. They run that mouth. But then a 90-pound woman can ruin their life. They'll do whatever she says. And I don't mean that facetiously. They don't have courage where it matters. A lot of them got drug habits and vices and things that end up destroying their life. Because they don't have courage. They just have physical strength. But that's just mechanical, man. You take the right supplements and you do the right amount of work and you can also turn into a monster. But that don't mean you have courage. David was just a boy and he killed Goliath with a rock. Why? Because he had courage. Courage. It was a quality of mind. All the armies of Israel stood there and they wouldn't go out and face him. And David said, who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he is blaspheming the armies of the living God? And he was a child. He was just a kid. And that was his mind. Courage. Courage. And then he did something about it, see? So real courage does something. And then there's courage like what Goliath was coming out there projecting, but it wasn't courage. It was just, he was just gambling. Just gambling. Courage is resolution. Because here's the deal. You know, if you have any respect for yourself at all, if you make a commitment to me or him or her or God or anybody else, you're going to have a hard time backing off that line after you've resolved that you're going to do something. And courage is what will chalk the wheel behind your resolution and say, we're not backing up. We can't back up. We can't lose this ground. I'm not going to lose this ground. Courage. Courage. Be of good courage. Courage lets you face or encounter danger and difficulties with firmness. Well, you know there's a difference between rock hard and being firm. Firm gives a little, but it don't break. You ever watch trees in a storm? It amazes me. It amazes me. David had them big old pine trees in his yard up there, and that tornado come through, and he told me, he said, I looked out the window and I seen every one of them, and they were big as this pulpit. And he said, I watched them things go all the way to the ground, wham, and then spring right back up. Wham, right back up. And it didn't break them. It ripped them out of the ground. The tree was firm. Didn't break. They bent, boy, and I mean, but they didn't break. Courage is firm. It lets you approach things that are going to be hard, like waiting, with a firmness in your soul. Courage. Be of good courage. Wait on the Lord. Be of good courage. Courage enables you to do this without fear or depression of spirits, it says. Very seldom does anybody that is waiting on something that decides to stop waiting, they have to stop waiting because the circumstance demands that they stop waiting. They just can't take the pressure anymore. And they pull the trigger on something that they feel they can make happen. And then they just, and what do you think buyer's remorse is? You look at your pocket full of money and then you look at that car or that truck or that boat or that bow or that whatever. And you say, I've got the money to buy it. And there's nothing else in my life demanding this money that I have. I've saved this money for that. And I'm gonna buy it. I deserve it. I'm gonna buy it. And you go and you buy it, and then you drag it home, and you sit there and you look at it, and you're like, Then you get your wallet out, and you look at it, and it just has a receipt in it from where you just gave them all your money. And there's your thing. And then guess what you get to do tomorrow morning? You get to go to work and start saving money again. While your precious thing that you spent your money on just sits in the driveway. Or just depreciates in value, and you just think about how if I'd have kept my money, it would have still been, $20,000. And now that thing that I gave $20,000 for is only worth like $14,000. And 6 months from now, it's only going to be worth about $12,500. And oh no, what have I done? Buyer's remorse. Courage enables you to do the waiting thing without fear or depression of spirits. Because, man, that'll get you down. That'll get you down. Courage, it's the main ingredient to fortitude. Now, listen to this. Listen to this. This is the actual definition. It says this: it is a constituent part of fortitude. But, there's a semicolon there, and then he says, but fortitude implies patience to bear continued suffering. Well, wait a minute. I'm not going to get set up on a pedestal and honored by everybody because I was so courageous. Oh, no. No. It directly relates to the fact that you're going to have to bear more of a load. You're going to have to stand more of the fire than anyone else around you with no thanks, possibly no reward. No one caring how much you suffered. No one even wanting to hear about your sad story of how long you had to wait. No one cares. And yet, courage says that's okay. Courage gives you fortitude. It's fortitude, but with the patience to bear continued suffering. Well, I don't want to continually suffer. Well, neither do I. You realize that Jesus himself had courage. And he didn't want to do it for a minute. He said, if it be possible, Father, let this cup pass from me. And his Father gave him grace, strength, courage, fortitude. He'd waited all these years. And then he had the fortitude and the courage and the strength to fulfill what had to be done. Wait on the Lord and be of good courage. And what does it say? And he shall strengthen thine heart. It doesn't say wait on the Lord and be of good courage and then everything you've done will finally come to fruition and you will reap the rewards of your labors. No, no, no. He said, he will strengthen thine heart. Listen to this little thing right here. Courage that grows from constitution. That means the rules. You join the military and they send you off to battle. You ain't got no choice but to run out there and be courageous. Whether you're scared absolutely to death or not, hey, you can't run that way. You just got to run right into the saw. But courage that grows from constitution often forsakes a man when he has occasion for it. But courage which arises from a sense of duty acts in a uniform manner. There's a difference between constitution and duty. Big, big, big difference. So, good courage is patience to bear continued suffering because waiting often involves suffering. So, this morning, wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he will strengthen thine heart. Do you like to wait? No, I don't either. But can you wait? Well, there's a way to go about it where you can. God has a plan in you waiting. You know, every week Zach comes home and Maddie writes on the fridge on this little board how many weeks are left before he's done with academy. And it's 6 whole months. And coming home every weekend makes it worse. Sometimes it makes it seem so much longer. But you even said it this week. You said, man, I can't believe it's already been 8 weeks. Yeah, 2 months out of them 6 are already gone. And before Christmas bells ring, you're going to have your Smokey the Bear hat, for sure. Yes, sir. It'll be over before Christmas. And think about how fast Christmas comes. We just talked about that a little bit ago. So see, hurry up and wait. Well, just wait. Just wait. You can do it. You don't have to. But he asked us here. He says, wait on the Lord. And be of good courage. And he will strengthen thine heart. Amen. Wait. Just wait. Amen.